I'm going to call this, and hopefully this won't be a series, mistakes people make in cross-training. And I should know because I've made them all. Okay, your first mistake that people make in cross-training is cross-training is something that's no different or not much different than what you're studying. This is basically like you do Shotokan karate and then you take ITF Taekwondo. They're practically the same thing. It's just that General Choi made some changes to the forms. I could understand if you would at least go from Shotokan karate to WTF Taekwondo where you get more focused on kicking. But to me, that's still kind of sort of a waste of time because you're still learning how to kick and punch in Shotokan karate and in WTF Taekwondo, even though you may do a little bit of different twist. You would be better served by taking judo or jiu-jitsu, okay? Second mistake people make in cross-training is when they get to brown belt, they think that's the time to cross-train. No. When you get to brown belt in a style, if you're 1 or 2 belts away from black belt, if I were you, once you get to that level, if you've been cross-training, stop cross-training. You should stop cross-training and then focus on the art that you're close to black belt in. Because I can tell you, being on the instructor side of things, if I think a student is doing really good, it shows a lot of promise, if they've gotten a brown belt, I really want to promote them to black belt. I really, really do. There are just a couple of things that they need to work on that are keeping them from getting a black belt. And I really, really want to promote them. But a lot of times, I've gotten people that have gotten a brown belt and then they quit on me because they think that brown belts, that's good enough. I'm almost a black belt. Hey, they may even be able to beat up a few black belts. And then they stop. If there's any time to quit, it should be when you get a first degree black belt. Because at least then, if you decide to come back years later, you may be able to open up a club and teach. But quitting at brown belt is like getting to the 12th grade in high school and not getting your high school diploma and just quitting. Or it's like getting to be a senior in college and getting to the last semester and quitting. When you get the brown belt, that's not the time to cross-train. That's the time for you to focus on your primary art or whatever art you've got a brown belt in that you're trying to get a black belt in. It's time to refine techniques. Because if you weren't ready for black belt, mentally, you probably would not be a brown belt. So that's another mistake people make in cross-training. A third mistake people make in cross-training is just being a general pain in the you-know-what when you go cross-train. Meaning, I'll just use myself for an example. I used to talk about how we did it in this other style, or how we did it in this style, and this is how you do it in that style. They don't want to hear that. Now I know. They don't want to hear that. They want to make sure that you're getting what they're showing you. And you're just eating up class time by talking about how much you did what in this other style. I mean, unless it has a direct relationship to what you're doing now or at the time, they don't care. They don't want, your instructor don't want to hear it. All your instructor wants to do is for that hour or 2 or maybe 3, if you're lucky, that instructor has you for that day. They want to make sure you're getting the information that they're passing on to you. So don't talk so much when you cross-train. It's not because they feel intimidated by what somebody else is teaching you. It's because they want to make sure that you're absorbing what they're being paid to teach you. So stop talking so much. And I say I did this, so I know. I used to do this. Stop talking so much and just be quiet, empty your cup, and let them pour what they have to offer into it. So those are the basic mistakes I think that people make with cross-training. You cross-train in something that's too similar to what you had before. Instead of stopping your cross training so you can get a black belt, you keep cross training at brown belt, dividing your energy up so that it takes you forever or you never get your black belt, or you quit at black belt. Or also, you eat up time that you have with your other instructor, talking about what that other instructor does or does for you. Oh, and one more thing. This is a bonus. This is more of a switching schools and cross-training thing. But another mistake that people make with cross-training and or switching schools is you think that that rank you have in this other style means that you need to be treated special in the thing that you're cross-training in. No. If your new teacher or your other teacher decides to recognize that other experience, that's up to him or her. You may have learned something that does dovetail and kind of gives you extra credit in what you're taking and what you're cross-training in. It may help move you up a little bit in the curve. But you still have to do things the way that your current teacher wants you to do it. So don't let your ego get so big that, you can't put on a white belt again. I wouldn't, even if it is supposedly the same style that you were in before, let's say they're both ITF Taekwondo or they're both Judo, there is so much variations to the human body and interpretation that your current instructor still may do things differently than the way you learn them. And your current instructor may have valid reasons for doing things different than the way you learned them. So again, this is the whole thing about emptying your cup. Empty your cup and let your current teacher share with you what he or she wants to share with you. So let's review. Don't cross-train to something that's just like what you're already taking or similar enough. If you don't know which styles are similar, Wikipedia can tell you, believe it or not. Don't get a brown belt and think you're done and then just go off on cross-training something else. Brown belt is the time to focus on the stuff you need to get the black belt. Don't keep yammering away about, well, if this were such and such and such, instead of turning our hand 3/4 of the way over, you would turn it all the way over. Who cares? Do what your teacher is telling you. Your teacher has a reason why. And lastly, don't think that's special because you got prior training. You let your teacher decide where you're going to fit in his or her hierarchy based on what you already know. Will you move up quicker than other people? You probably will. But there still may be some things your teacher needs you to work on because of what's going on in your current school. So those are the mistakes that people make with cross-training. And again, I know because I've made them all and probably still do. Peace.